Here is EndeavourOS. I had burned this disk earlier on a video showing the same disk that we burned it to, and now we are actually booted into that USB stick. So this is EndeavourOS. If you're interested in a friendly Arch-based Linux distribution, this is a great option, along with things like Manjaro, which is another great option for a friendly Arch-based distribution. Now, there's a lot of benefits to having an Arch-based distribution. Now, one of which is pretty noteworthy, is the AUR, the Arch User Repository, which means that you have access to a ton of different applications, even if they're not native on the distribution or the Arch that you are installing. So if I want to install this, which I actually have to do anyway because I'm putting this together for somebody, you would just simply go to Start the Installer, and I will click on that. And then that will open up our installer. We can see that the USB stick is active. Okay, we're going to go with an online because I already have an internet connection, but you don't have to. You can actually do this with an offline installation. So you don't have to actually connect to the internet to do this, but it can make it easier to keep everything updated and to add different packages and updates, of course. So here it is, started up. Now, it is not connected to a power source. Oh well. Well, you know what? I'm living dangerously today. After we pick our time zone on the map, we can then pick our keyboard type. And it's just going to be default for us today. That's all I'm going with, as it's already detected. We're going to go with that. And after this, we can see that it's offering us multiple different options. So we have Plasma KDE, which is what we're looking at right now. You can see it is a rather aesthetic option, I think. So we'll go ahead and stick with the Plasma, or maybe we'll go with one I do like is XFCE4, which is a nice lightweight option. And in fact, you know what? I think I will stick with that. Now we're introduced with a lot of different options. We have the firewall here, we have, printer, scanner support, we have the XFCE4 desktop. The nice thing about installing Linux is you're not stuck with the desktop that you choose on installation. You can actually add all of the other desktops, so you can actually switch back and forth, and I'll show you in a future video on that. Now it's asking if I want to install the Grub bootloader, and of course I actually do. Now it needs to know which disk that I need to install it to, so I'm going to hit Erase Disk, and I'm actually going to go with Swap to a File. You don't have to pick that, but that's what I choose to pick. You could go with no swap whatsoever. That's if you run out of RAM or run low on RAM. It can go to the swap from the disk drive to act more as your memory. So that's completely up to you. I'm going to go with Swap to a File today. Now, I also want to encrypt the system, so this is how easy it can be. And now all you have to do, if you decide to select to encrypt the system, you just have to type in your password twice just to verify that you've typed it in correctly each time. And next, it just needs to know what is your name, or whatever you want to call your name. I just put in user. It's a good default, especially if you care about things like your privacy online. You'll probably want to put something nice and generic such as user. Then select a password for your user. At this point, we've already gone through all the processes. We have our time zone selected, our keyboard selected. We've optioned the installation of the Grub bootloader. Then we also have erased the disk. And then we can see here our after is going to be one single big Lux. We're going to go ahead and hit install. And then once we do this, it warns you one last time, and then you can hit install. You can see that it is letting you know it is configuring here, and it is letting you know some information. So it will give you things to look at while the installation process is taking place. You can see how far along it is, about here now. And it's 32% along, so shouldn't be too much longer. It's a lot easier than it used to be when I first began using GNU Linux operating systems many, many years ago, back when they sold them in stores, just to give you an idea. Would you look at that? We're already finished and not much time on the clock for it. So at this point, I could even use this as a live USB stick, and I could perform any actions that I need to perform as a live USB stick. This is a rather nice computer, has a nice little touch screen here. But we could restart it, and if we want to boot into our new installation, we would click this to restart now, and then we would, after restarting it, we would remove the USB stick and boot right into our new Linux operating system. Just figured I'd show you the installation process. If you have any questions, make sure to leave a comment, and any thoughts are welcome.